This is Daddy Show. Step off.
It's time for the main event.
Hey, what is up? Welcome back to the program, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark. This right here is Tom Clark's main event. I almost nailed it. What's up, kids? Welcome back to the program. I was that close. It only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, I assure you. But I was almost there. One day I'll nail it, and it'll be like I never missed it, and you guys will be like, oh, my God, bravo, Tom. Bravo. I got to watch my mouth because I was not live, but I was talking to our guest today before I hit the go live button. And, you know, I concur. I've been known to curse occasionally. You know what I mean? I work blue at times, but not on my show. I'm professional. You guys know that. How's everybody doing out there today? Happy Friday to you. Let's see who's first to the table before we welcome our guest. Brendan, what's going on? Sugar Shane, what's up? Ray all day. What's up? Nancy White, how are you doing? Chris with a K, good to see you. Charlotte Russell, oh, busy as well here too, my dear. Thanks for hanging out for a second and saying hello. Ray, I'm doing great, man. If I complained, I'd be wasting my time and yours, so I will not do that. What's up, Robbie? Good to see you, my friend. Eric Jackson in the house. Did everybody see the announcement? We're going live at 4 because I guarantee you at 5 o'clock today, I didn't know you were going live at 4 o'clock. Even though it's been promoted, right? Even though it's been promoted. Wolf, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you. I feel like I can't hear myself. I got to turn my audio up here, man. Josh Myers, first time here. Well, good God, Josh. That may be your nickname. Come back. I'll keep calling you that. Welcome to the show. You give me a great opportunity to put myself over. So here we go. My name's Tom. This is my show. Been going live or been recording or been podcasting. How about that? Since 2014. This is my first of 2 shows. My second show is Tom Clark's 6M podcast. We do movies, music, Marvel, magazines, miniseries, and more. The one you're watching today is all pro wrestling until we open the floor up at the end, that you can see at the bottom, episode 306. This past week, we released episode 136 of the 6M podcast. Yes, it's been that long. So there you go. Before we go any further, let's bring on one of the hosts of the Untitled Wrestling Podcast. You've seen him here before. We're going to welcome him back from Untitled Wrestling Podcast fame and also a great friend of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show. I'm trying to give him a nickname. I don't know. Jumping Jay. It's terrible. Jumping James Luft. James Jumping.
That's literally like stepping straight off from the conversation we've just been having, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Walk out the curtain. I'll give you a gimmick. Let's roll with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. From now on, you're Jumping Jay. Yeah. Terrible. And for years, you'll say, I can't believe this is the name they gave me. My God.
Do I need to get like a tambourine like Lanny Poffo?
Sure. That works.
Okay.
Speaking of names that are horrendous and I wish I could never hear them again, I maintain that Dolph Ziggler is the worst wrestling name. I'm sorry. It's how I feel. Not the talent is Dolph is 5-star, but
I mean, yeah, it's up there, isn't it?
I think so.
Certainly up there.
Kids, you remember Jumpin' Jay. Jumpin' Jay, you remember the kids. I'm going to do it from now on. Yeah, anyway, Ron, good to see you. Everyone, please tell Jay hello. Make him feel welcome. Super Dave, good to see you, dude. Yeah, everybody, thanks for hanging out. Randy Eagle, who I don't recognize, welcome to the show. Hope you hang out with us for a spell, as they say. Jay, we've got you and I haven't spoken a while. We've been messaging and chit-chatting back and forth, man. How's things over at the UWP these days? What do you guys got going on before we get started here today?
It is going good. We've got a lot of cool things in the works, including something that actually debuted this week, which I'm producing, which I believe you're going to be a guest on at some point, where essentially I'm getting people to fantasy book the all-in card before AW like kind of announces anything, and sort of like teases anything. Just kind of like the perfect card that you'd want to see there. So yeah, that's going good. We've got no interviews lined up at the moment, but I'm sure that'll change in a heartbeat. And yeah, it's just, other than that, just business as usual.
Awesome. Big fan of the show. And guys, if you and everyone here that's in the audience usually throws love my way, and I appreciate you guys. And I know you guys also love Chris Featherstone, Pancakes, and Power Slams. But please go out of your way to subscribe to the Entitled Wrestling Pod. Those guys will treat you right. It's good, funny, witty pro wrestling banter. I assure you, you will love every second of it for sure. Jay, thanks for coming on the show, my friend, if I haven't said it already. So we got lots of stuff to talk about here. Long way to go and a short time to get there. So let's get eastbound and down. You know I was going to go there, didn't you? Let's go with Seth, by God, freaking Rollins. All right, Jay, I know you've got the answer. So that's why I put the Seth name up first, because I know you got the answer. What in the world is this? Is this a work? Is any of it real? Is it all storyline? Is he upset? Is this just working the crowd? What do you think here?
So I haven't seen Raw this week, so you might need to fill some gaps in, but I did see like the Raw after Mania where they just cut his segment while he was in the ring. I don't know. It feels like they could certainly turn it into something and then have kind of like be the way to kind of turn Seth full babyface if he wasn't already. But yeah, it's certainly odd for the moment.
It is.
Very odd.
It is. And like, I can't, with that company, it's so hard to tell what's going on because we've thought things in the past, oh, this is a work. And it turns out that we never see the artist formerly known as Sasha Banks again in that company. So like, it's hard to know what's real and what's not. I mean, I think I don't know, you may agree with me. It feels like Seth Rollins is a lifer, kind of like Randy Orton. I mean, they give Seth the biggest platform imaginable. And it's like, why in the world would you leave that? Besides the fact that he could write his own check in any company on the planet, obviously. But why in the world would you, risk just because you're upset about a segment or whatnot? I don't know if I can make heads or tails of this either. I'd be curious to see what the fans think. Brendan says, I think it might be a new gimmick, but he is way over with the crowd. I don't know how it will work. And look, if this comes down to, I'm done talking, I'd be like, no, you're not. We're going to send 30 people to your house to talk to you, and whatever you want, you get it, because they don't want to lose him, dude. He's too good and he's too over, and he's the linchpin of that company at this point.
Yeah, he's kind of like the guy that sort of like keeps the lights on while Roman's taking time off. He's certainly, for me, like probably, if not Sami Zayn, he's like my favorite guy WWE has at the moment for sure. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because obviously, like there's the talk of Drew leaving, and there's the talk of like other people like being a little bit unhappy again after like the news of the sale. He's like for me, he's like the one guy you really need to keep good.
Keep him happy. Yeah.
Him and Cody to a degree, but I think Cody's going to do whatever Cody wants regardless. Like they could be paying him like the biggest check. They could be giving him all the belts. If he decides he wants to kind of go somewhere else, he'll go somewhere else. Whereas Seth, as you say, he's a company guy, he's a lifer. Which, I mean, I wish he wasn't, because I'd like to see him like go tear it up in somewhere like New Japan as well, because there's as many compelling matches within WWE as there are outside of it for him. But let's face it, he's the guy who they need to really kind of strap the rocket to, I think, and just keep supporting that main event scene as much as he can. And
Phil Lindsay, shout out to Phil, another friend of the show and frequent co-host of 6M Podcast. 100% on that. His take on this, Jay, for a while has been that Seth had a better year than Roman did. What's your take on that?
I agree. The thing with Roman is like Roman's a great like personality. There's no way to dispute that. However, he's not there all the time. And now they're kind of relying more and more on Bloodline does Roman's business, and then when Roman needs to kind of come in and it's really starting to hit the fan and Roman comes in and like deals with his business, then okay, yeah, big match feel. Whereas Seth's like the guy who, no matter who you give him on the card, he's going to have a very good match with. And he's going to work as hard as he can to like make sure that people are like happy. Like he had like matches on Raw, just nothing matches that were incredible.
Mm.
When was the last time Roman even wrestled on TV? You know what I mean?
I don't know. That's an excellent question. I mean, it's, and Seth's in a spot where he can work all the time, and he doesn't have a type of gimmick where it would make sense to keep him out of the ring. Whereas Roman, it kind of makes sense because he's top heel and it's my time, not your time. And we'll wrestle when I say we do, that kind of shtick. I mean, I kind of understand it to a certain degree, but yeah, I don't think anybody can dispute what Seth's accomplished, man.
Yeah, it's just unreal.
I got to put this back up, Nancy, for you. Jay, how much time you got? 6-7 hours? Because this is a long conversation on this one. This story that Vince is back and that he's on the headset, and that if people don't want to believe that, that's fine. But no, he's back. I mean, let's piggyback off the Seth thing. How much, if all that's true, and we assume a large part of it is there any way to know what happens with this company moving forward if that's indeed the case?
I mean, the Raw after Mania, I felt like it got into a time machine back to like late 2021 when Raw was like really at its most nonsensical because Vince was booking it.
Yeah.
And obviously there was like this stuff going around on social media of like scripts getting handed to like the production team at the side of like the entrance. I really hope like that was a one-off and Devil like money, right? Surely they know people are going to tune out if Vince continues booking the show. And there's people who prefer Vince's product to Triple H, and more power to them. But for me, it's unwatchable, man. Like I stopped watching when like it got to the point where it was a difficult watch. I'd resumed watching when Triple H took over for a while. Don't watch it nearly as much as I'd like to now. But that's just because there's so much stuff.
There are people who believe that it's better with Vince in charge, and those people are wrong. So, no.
I was trying to be diplomatic, but yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, look, and I've addressed that segment, and I don't think there's a lot of those folks that watch this show, mostly because I don't really cater to any one specific audience. Like I'm as critical of AEW as I am anything else. I don't sit here and rip them apart, but I don't think I rip apart WWE either. But I'll give you my true thoughts, as I think we all should as podcasters. But it's just one of those things where it's like you said, unwatchable. I 100% agree. There's diehard fans that want him there because it's childhood, because it's all about their child. Oh, this is my childhood. I mean, I had chickenpox in my childhood. I don't want that again. That's horrible memory. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like, and there's some stuff I was into as a kid. And Jay, I went back and watched it, and I'm like, oh, that didn't age well. I don't know. I don't know. But that's me. That's me. Chris says there was a lot of people not on Raw last week. He almost had a match on Raw 2 weeks ago. He almost had a match on. See, that's what we're talking about. It's crazy.
Raw last week wasn't the travel issues though.
I think so. Maybe it was. I can't remember. One of the two. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
Switching gears, and don't worry, kids. We'll come back to WWE.
Yay!
I know you couldn't wait, could you? And look, I don't go out of my way to cover the guy, but it seems like every other week he's back in the news. The latest on CM Punk, kids, get ready for this one. Supposedly he is, believe what you want, he's being worked back into creative to return to AEW. And I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means for the company. According to figure4online.com through Fightful, actually, let's source this where it should be sourced, that Punk is expected back in time for the June 21st Dynamite from Chicago, either returning on the show or leading up to it. However, noting that nothing is set in stone and things can change, as this is often a tumultuous situation. You think? Supposedly, Punk wants to work with the Elite. Speaking of Figure 4 Online, and I'm only quoting this because I think he made an excellent point. Because Alvarez made the point of all these people are talking about, oh, it's business. You're crazy. Say it with me, Jay. You're leaving money on the table by not having these guys feud with the Elite, with FTR and CM Punk and blah, blah, blah. Let's turn it into a storyline. And Alvarez's point is, you guys don't know how much people behind the scenes don't want this to happen. It's one thing to say, well, let's put our differences aside, pal, and do business. It's another thing to say, I don't want to work with this guy. Where do you fall on the whole CM Punk thing? Are you okay with this? What should happen? What's your take?
So, how long have you got?
I know.
It's a long conversation, this one. Seemingly never ending.
Yeah.
I think the main issue is obviously what Punk did was wrong. Like, regardless of what side you fall on, the Elite, Punk was allegedly the guy who threw the first blow and caused the whole fight to begin with. He didn't really handle himself professionally in the sense that he had grievances. Instead of like an adult going and talking them out with the people he's got grievances with, or at least management, he goes on a very public platform like a press conference and completely and utterly just dunks on everybody. And then when he says, my door's open, you can come and talk to me, and people do, then he starts throwing hands. So first and foremost, I think any other job, you'd be getting fired for that. Any other job. Obviously, wrestling business isn't any other job. And yes, there is money to be made. But at the same time, if the Elite, if Chris Jericho say they don't want to work with Punk, they shouldn't have to. Like, no one's holding a gun to their head. No one's saying to them, oh yeah, but you're costing this company money. Because at the end of the day, like, they've kept a guy on the books who assaulted members of their board, which is insane. CM Punk was one of my favorite wrestlers. It's not to do with obviously everything that happened. It's more just my taste changed. But at the same time, like, how many times can this guy get a pass for just being not a nice person? I was trying not to swear there.
No, yeah.
Because let's face it, he just doesn't seem like a nice guy. Like, and to the inverse of that, did you see the thing Danhausen put on Twitter where he bought Danhausen a $8,000 comic just because he got injured and he felt bad about him? But
wow,
yeah, at the same time, he's got his friends, that's fine, but all the people that he's got problems with, he either needs to try and make amends somehow, and if they forgive him, that's their prerogative. Or I think personally the best thing could be him leaving.
And Nancy bring up a good point here. Part of this rumor is that there's a new Saturday night AEW show as of yet announced. Don't even know if it's going to be TNT or TBS or if it's even actually happening, that they would just give this slot to him. Saturday Night Punk. I don't know.
I mean,
yeah,
that's like a kind of easy fix, isn't it? If they have a Saturday night show, a different touring roster, and then yeah, Shay makes a good point there. Actually, on the Fightful Select article, it did say that Punk was open to either going to Ring of Honor or even leaving AEW completely and going to New Japan, possibly WWE. So who knows?
And I was one of those guys that had his back when he came back twice to AEW. When he came back to wrestling, and then when he came back from injury, I had his back both times. And when he got hurt, it's like I was one of the first guys, I think, to raise my hand and say, injuries happen. You can't, oh, it's his age. What? But I will say this, Brendan, to your point about this New Japan thing. I mean, Jay, number one, Mox was still a full-time wrestler. All right, the guy used to be known as Ambrose when he once again became John Moxley and went to Japan. Punk is not full-time. He wasn't full-time for 8 years, and then he came back and he got hurt, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Punk in New Japan today with that level of, and brother, when they say strong style, they're not joking. I mean, could that potentially end in a just tragically, not tragically, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think about Punk in Japan of all places?
I mean, I think if he took that attitude he had after All Out to Japan, he'd get absolutely beaten up. I mean, let's face it, the money match there is Punk and Kenta, right?
Yeah.
But also, Kenta is not a light worker. He hits hard.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously with the sort of, isn't the real heat, Kenta would kick Punk to death.
Yeah.
I think you make a really good point there. Punk, obviously, not that he's injury prone, but he works a much lighter schedule than a normal kind of person who's going to New Japan. I could see him maybe doing the G1 and then that's it. But I don't necessarily think I could see him full time there.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to suggest, kids, that he couldn't do it. I mean, and I'm usually not that guy that says, can his body take it? I'll do it now. I'll say it. I don't know. Maybe he can. I don't know. I mean, I don't know any of that. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, it's like you said, it's a lot more physical. And, look, kids, let's be honest. It's real easy to confuse strong style with they'll kill you over there. No, it's just that you have to understand what company you're in and what you're signing up for. And if you were a weightlifter or a track star or a pretty ballerina or a cheerleader who goes to a certain developmental brand in Florida and you think you're going to become a model and this is going to be catapulting you to the next level, Japan may not be for you, right? But like for Punk's been known to give as good as he gets. So maybe I'm wrong and he'd be great. Maybe he would excel. I don't know.
I mean, he's had 2 MMA fights.
And nothing to sneeze at. People go, well, he didn't win. I'm like, could you win an MMA fight? I don't think I could even last 2 seconds. I mean, if nothing else, and to me, dude, that's a measure of toughness.
The training counts alone.
Yeah, alone. Yeah, and like Punk never strikes me as somebody that wants to be kissed up to. Like if you got something to say, I think he's all ears, and even if he doesn't like it. So I think his trainers, dude, Phil, don't do this. This is terrible. No, I think his trainer said, look, if you want to get there, I'll help you get there, but you need to listen to what I tell you. So, yeah, I'm not going to say that. I wanted to transition from Punk to the Elite because everything ties in. The Elite are back. If you guys watched Dynamite Wednesday, you saw Michael Nakazawa. God, why do I always blank on his name? What?
Brandon Cutler.
That's it. I did it I was trying to write a tweet. I'm like, what's his name? Not for nothing, but Cutler and Nakazawa got destroyed and got Cutler and had Mox giving him forearm shivers and concussing both of them. No, I don't know. And then, oh, wait, the Elite are here. I'm like, you just fed your 2 guys to the BCC.
That's exactly what I said.
Man. Like, okay. And I was kind of a little disappointed that it didn't begin as a full out tag match, and Cutler and Nakazawa both were given some really nice spots where you're like, wow, they look great. And Nakazawa had 2 seconds. Cutler had nothing. And like, it's fine. What do you think about the Elite coming back and the timing of the Punk thing? What do you think about all that together?
I really enjoyed the Elite coming back. I thought the way they did the kind of bait and switch with Kenny at the start was awesome. where obviously like he did the video package from home, and then obviously then his music hits, and he comes down like a man on a mission. That was awesome. I think it's interesting because obviously there's still a lot of talk that the Elite haven't signed new deals yet. And if Punk comes back before they sign new deals, that could be a problem for AEW. Because then but then also like Jericho's been saying, hasn't he? He doesn't want to work with Punk. He doesn't want Punk back. He's going to make sure Punk doesn't come back. That's the other kind of thing that people seem to be forgetting about. Like, if Punk comes back and a guy like Chris Jericho walks, that's huge.
Big time. Big time. Dude, maybe I'll be wrong, but Chris has expressed in no uncertain terms he has no desire to go back to the other company. Like, he doesn't throw shade at them, but he's like, I did that. I don't want to do it again. I did what I could do over there. Like, I don't think it'll come to this. I could be wrong. I don't think it'll come to him leaving AEW. I think cooler heads will prevail. But when Jericho is essentially your top guy, really your top veteran anyway, I mean, if you don't listen to him, you're not doing it right, right?
Yeah, exactly.
At
the end of the day, like, Chris Jericho is, for me, probably a bigger name than Punk. Punk's got the kind of recency bias because obviously he was like at the top of the industry more recently. But then Chris Jericho, like I know people who haven't watched wrestling for like 20 years, 30 years, they still know who Chris Jericho is.
Ron says, with that being said, Chris walking, who do you think is you mean between him and Punk? Jericho.
100%.
Jericho, because, and look, Jay, let's call it for what it is. When Punk left, ratings dipped. They did.
Yeah.
Pay-per-views dipped, I believe. So it made an impact. But like, you can't count on Punk. He changes as the wind blows. You can't, when he came back and was like, I'm home. I love this place. This is awesome. And he would come out and cut promos in jeans and sneakers. And you're like, this guy, he's in. He's so in. I'm so happy for him. And man, they're making him feel welcome. And this is the best time ever. That dude's gone, Jay. Maybe he'll come back, but I don't know if I'd buy it the next time.
Yeah, it took 9 months for Better Punk to come back, which is a shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it's part of the package, but it's also like, it goes back to, if you've got a problem with someone, like, talk to them. Like, talk to management. Try and resolve it. Don't go on TV and sit down in the middle of the ring and call out like the guy they've spent like the better part of a year investing into make one of their top stars and make him look stupid. Yep.
Because Hangman Punk's their future, and he just kind of crapped all over him for sure. Speaking of returns,
this is awesome.
Jeff Hardy. So look, and I was catching up on Dynamite yesterday when I was messaging you back and forth, and I'm like, I've said before, I'm on the record, print it, that Jeff Hardy could push a nun in front of a bus and still get a pop the next week. Because he could. Because it doesn't matter what he does. Not that it doesn't matter. But I'm saying to fans, they will always take him back. They blew the roof off because I thought it was nice touch. They didn't play Matt's music when he came out. Nice touch. Because they saved it for Jeff. Brilliant. And so when he came out, it made that much more of an impact. Dude, talk to me about Jeff. This is a big one. Why is Jeff Hardy eternally over no matter what he does wrong?
I think it's just because he was the coolest wrestler when everyone was kids. He was just so cool, wasn't he? He's got that it factor. No one knows why. He just has it.
He has it.
And obviously, like, he'll jump off the highest thing he can find, which instantly gets people over. And yeah, I mean, the one thing as well, he came back, he looked great. I think the main thing is obviously he just needs to kind of use a support system, try as hard as he can to stay sober, because it gets to a point where it's not so much about ruining his career and legacy as it is that he's actually endangering people.
Yeah. Not
And
just himself.
that's my issue with him coming back. But at the same time, I'm a huge Jeff Hardy fan. I lost my mind when he came out.
I go back to Orlando Bloom. Was it Will Turner was his name in Pirates of the Caribbean, I think?
Yeah.
Talking about Jack Sparrow, and he goes, "Is that why he's all like this?" And that's Jeff. There's Jeff Hardy walks into a room, and you're like, "Who's this guy?" Like you sense something's different. And years ago in another life, I interviewed Matt Hardy, and his own flesh and blood tells me, "Oh no, there's something about Jeff." He's like, Matt's like, "I can't explain it either." He said, "But we saw it as kids." He said, "I see it now. He's different. There's something about him that's just," and I don't think it's different like, "Oh, look, I'm brooding." No. It's just, he's just a different cat, man. And I think people pick up on that because what they see in the ring is him. It's not like, and I don't know how familiar you are with that run he had as Willow in Impact Wrestling, but I'm like, Jeff Hardy is yeah, I didn't watch a lot of it, but I'm like, Jeff Hardy's a heel? Like, really? I don't know. Because how do you hate him? Like, they found a way to make it work, right? But like, how do you hate, unless you just hate him because he can't keep himself clean, I guess, unless you just lead with that. But like, I don't know. I mean, there's just something about him. I mean, what kind of, if you were essentially one of the guys calling the shots backstage, what do you do now? Do you is it him and Matt? Do you run him singles? What would you do with the guy?
I'd do him and Matt. I think the story's there. So I've been trying to manifest ever since it was kind of like teased that Jeff was coming back a few weeks ago. Men of the Year versus the Hardys, because I think that match would be awesome.
Mm.
And Scorpio's not been on TV for a while. Ethan needs a partner. He's got a partner in Scorpio Sky. That's the logical thing for me. I believe he's fit, and also do tweeting pictures of each other the other day. So that makes me think that maybe there's a bit more to it. The other thing as well with Jeff, I'd say the conversation that Tony Khan should have had with Jeff was, this is your one and only chance. Like, any more screw ups and you're done. You're out. Because, as I say, it's happened so much, and every time he seems like he's in a really good place, then a couple of months later you hear about something bad, and it gets to the point when it's one of those things when you hear his names in the news, the first thing is worry. It's like, oh no, what's he done? Oh no, is he all right?
Yeah.
It's never, oh, that's amazing, Jeff Hardy, he's done this. It's, oh God, it's Jeff Hardy. And that's a shame, because the guy's, as I say, he's one of the greats of all time for me, just because he's such a different wrestler. And he, as you say, he's just got something different.
He does. Sugar Shane says Jeff Hardy versus Powerhouse Hobbs for the belt. If any, and we always talk about, big men can help big men. You know what I mean? And that's very, very much true. But smaller guys can help big men too. And I think getting to work with Jeff would be great for Hobbs, because Jeff could be like, okay, look, I'll feed here. You stand your ground, there would be a way to make both of them look really good, where Hobbs doesn't necessarily have to lose the belt and Jeff doesn't necessarily need to get pinned. Because I don't want to see Hobbs lose ground now, because he's finally got something to do. You can argue that what is that? Is it QTV or whatever? Oh God, it's so bad. It's so bad.
I find it like begrudgingly enjoyable.
Really? I can't get into it.
I think it's just like, I don't know, QT is just such a slime ball, isn't he?
He is.
Like, we have a running joke on the podcast that he's like a used car salesman who is siphoning air out the tires as he's selling the car to you as you're doing the paperwork. He's got his guy just damaging the innards of the car, so you've got to come back and then get it up.
Yeah,
he's just that real slime ball energy, but it really works. I think the almost kind of sort of shock jock news anchor thing it's different, isn't it? It just works. Happy birthday, Sandy, by the way.
Yes, Sandy in Germany. Happy
I
birthday, my
spotted,
friend.
I spotted that comment before I was about to say it.
Happy birthday, my friend. Good to see you, man. Yeah. I still hate the segments. I think even as an entertaining heel bit, it's not entertaining. But if that's the point, then it's working fine.
I think that's the point.
I'm okay with that then. Oh, and side note, this is not AEW, but I had a thought, and I'm actually going to read this to you. Story time. Who's ready for story time? Well, I'm not going to do it. So I'm catching up on New Japan, as I told you before, and House of Torture. You know them, you hate them. House of Torture cheats all the time. All the time. I mean, all the time. Okay? And people and people are like, this is horrible booking. I can't believe that Gato is doing. Evil's not a top guy. Oh, this is so every single match. But the other day I'm catching up on this and I had a moment of clarity. And I won't read all this to you, but I'll give you the highlights of it. So basically, I suddenly had this epiphany about the House of Torture. And I said, House of Torture are booked like it's a shoot. They're booked like it's a shoot. Like pro wrestling is real. Like it's not choreographed. It's not predetermined. Because if there were a group of you and the winners get paid more, you would never lose a match ever. So if you really think about it, they're only doing what makes sense. And by this logic, the Horsemen never should have lost a match. The NWO never should have lost. Bobby Heenan's family, DX, the Dangerous Alliance, the Bullet Club, the JS, no heel fashion should ever lose because with all that backup, how could they? So the House of Torture cheat all the time, every match. You can set your clock by it. They win matches they shouldn't win. They almost always do it by inflicting damage, showing dominance by any means necessary, as a heel faction should. So if you're trying to make sense of this, kids, what I'm saying is they're booked as though it's a shoot faction, as though this is a real sport. Because sometimes I try to make sense of this. I can't make any more sense of it than what the pitch I just gave you, because it is a heck of a lot of cheating. But at the end of the day, they're supposed to. I'm not going to go as hard on them as I have been. That's what I'm trying to say. So
I'm very upset you just made sense of House of Torture.
Hey, man, I do what I can to ruin your day.
I hate on them anymore.
That's what you get for trying to make me like QT Marshall's gimmick. All right.
That's fair.
So yeah, everybody take that and run with it. By the way, kids, we've been here about 45 minutes. Smash that like button and share this on your feed if you will. First time I asked you to do it all flipping day. Let's talk about the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, because you and I haven't done any kind of pod together since WrestleMania. I know you guys went back and forth on this. I don't know exactly what the final analysis was. There seems to be two trains of thought here with Cody. One is, look, this takes time to tell a story. Cody hasn't fought hard enough. Jay, this idea that baby faces in that company have to go through sheer immortal hell to get a belt. I'm sick of it. I don't understand it. Like they have to be put through, I don't know. Was it Solomon, the Trials of Solomon, whatever it is. I don't understand it. What's your take on this whole thing? I mean, was it the right time? Can they get him this hot again as he was at Mania? What do you think?
I think it was the right time. I said when we reviewed WrestleMania, my kind of take was they've had 3 perfect opportunities where they could have had Roman drop it in the last sort of 6 months. Clash of the Castle, when the crowd was white hot for Drew, and they obviously did that really, really close near fall, and it was like, oh my god, it's happening, and it didn't. And Solo debuted, and yeah. Montreal with Sammy, for me, that was the perfect moment too, because they even did the whole promo with Sammy and Cody the week before to kind of set up the idea of Cody, Sammy, Roman at Mania. And I was like, okay, I could get behind that. And then this Cody match, like, I think as soon as Cody lost, and obviously it was down to a lot of cheating, a lot of interference, but as soon as he lost, a lot of the kind of magic of Cody back in WWE went with it, because that's the first time he's lost a match in WWE since he come back. Any kind. So as soon as you got like a guy, look at Goldberg, he lost the streak. The magic wasn't there anymore. Asuka, another one, lost her streak. Magic wasn't there anymore. As soon as Cody lost that match, it felt instantly, like just where do they go from here? And obviously they did the tease on Raw the next day, and Raw after Mania crowd's a different crowd to any WWE crowd they're going to get for the rest of the year. They were, again, electric. They were ready for it. They wanted Cody and Roman too. I think when they get there, Cody's a good enough performer that he'll be able to get the hype back up. But I think they've really, 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 really dug themselves into a hole that he's now got to climb out of. And having beat Brock, yeah, that'll certainly go a long way in cementing Cody as the guy to dethrone Roman, but he should have done it at Mania.
Yeah, and I love how people try to, not me personally, kids. Who am I in the grand scheme of things? But I love how people try to school me and school everybody else. You don't understand. They're telling a story. I'm like, he went through a year. He came back white hot, most over guy in the company, you could argue, when he came back. And then he goes through, he works a match with Seth with a purple chest and doesn't cry about it. And, had that match happened in AEW, he never would have been booed again, Jay. Because people have been like, all right, oh my God, never should have booed this guy. Because he, I mean, he's got his old man's toughness for sure. And then he comes back, rehabs his way back, is still the most over guy. He hasn't worked hard enough. What?
They literally had all they had to do was book it like Triple H in 2002. Come back from that career-threatening injury, came back, everyone lost their mind, wins the Rumble, everyone's ready for Triple H to be champ, and then he does the big one at Mania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's such an easy story for them to tell.
It is.
And I mean, who knows? Cody might have had an input on it, and obviously it's like the Dusty thing, isn't it? Dusty had to overcome so much adversity before he beat Flair for the belt to hold it for 2 weeks after a 5-year build. I hope it's not that way, but
because I watched that in real time, and here's what I can tell you. If I'm really being, and he's not his dad, I get it, but if I'm being honest, when he beat Flair for the belt, it was the second time. It was the big gold belt in the steel cage. I think it was at the Bash. It didn't feel the same after that. I was glad he won because he was my guy, but it didn't feel the same because suddenly this guy that we'd all loved so much had gotten there. And then it became, he was still Dusty. He was still the man, still effing great, but it wasn't the same then because now he had achieved the thing he'd been chasing for so long. So, again, there's some guys that the thrill of the chase, like with Danielson when he was Daniel Bryan in that company, right? In my opinion, they strung that out way too long. And Jay, with good reason, they didn't want to put the belt on him because they didn't see him as champ. But it got to the point where they're like, God, these fans, shut up. You know what I mean? Where they had to, right? They didn't have a choice. So but like you said, the time was perfect for Cody. And Cody can rebound from anything. But can they get him to the point where no one in that crowd would even think about booing him, where it's the massive tear the roof off the building and people are like, I can't wait. I'll pay triple to see it. Because I feel like they had that at Mania. I don't know if they can do that or not, dude.
I think it all depends on the story Cody has this year, I guess, or the journey Cody takes us on this year. Because, I mean, let's face it, Cody's one of the best storytellers in all of wrestling. If anybody can do it, I've got faith it's Cody Rhodes. But at the same time, as you say, when he does it, magic goes. I'd say that's the time to pull the trigger and turn him heel.
That's fair. Yeah.
Raw after Mania, he's won the belts. Turn him.
So you let him get there. It's like, that's it.
Yeah, let them have the nice moment and then have him like, I don't know, who does everyone love? Seth Rollins. Have him just hit Seth with the big, like, with the belt.
But instead he comes out with the ring, and it's the title ring. Like he had in Ring of Honor, right? Just saying.
Just comes out and it's like a spinner belt with like his tattoo instead of the logo.
I could totally see them doing that. Oh my God.
That's how I book it. I'm just saying, like, that's what I do.
Man. I got one more before we open the floor up here, kids. So Jay White, not to be confused with Jay White. Jay White is All Elite with Juice, Rock Hard Juice Robinson, as Bullet Club Gold. Now, we know that Bullet Club has turned on ELP. ELP has grown on me quite substantially over the past few years, like a fungus. I think he'd be okay with that. And
I definitely would.
He's and that's fine. But like, is this just something for Jay to say? Came out in the moment? Is it something you think they've talked about where Tony's like, I'm going to put 5 guys with you? And they had a handshake deal with New Japan and said, let us use this. And instead of doing this, they're going up with the guns against each other's hands like a salute. And can you envision this becoming like the powerhouse stable of that company? Like they don't have enough already. What do you think?
I mean, they've already brought out merch for it.
There you go.
So ELP brought out like a Bullet Club Gold t-shirt with like his logo on it, and then Jay White was retweeting it saying, oh yeah, Bullet Club Gold. And then they did the announcement of Bullet Club Gold on Dynamite like the day after. I'm okay with this because I feel like then it's an easy kind of match they can then build to for Forbidden Door, isn't it? Like they can do Jay White, Juice, and ELP versus David Finlay, Kenta, and whoever. And I think as well, like obviously there's the whole thing with Jay White and David Finlay, but also there's the whole Finn Juice colliding. It's an intriguing story to tell for sure. And ELP is great, man. That guy's so good. He used to do like indies in the UK all the time. So I've seen him like a handful of times, and every time I've seen him, my jaw's just been on the floor of how talented he is. It's unreal.
He's good. And it's hard to know these guys out because you don't know them personally, because a lot of us don't know them personally, but he just seems like he's not trying very hard, which is a compliment. You know what I mean? Like
I've met him at 2 shows and he's really laid back.
Is he? Yeah, well, see, there you go.
Super laid back.
Yeah.
He's just a fun guy. Not to be confused with a fungus.
Like what you did there. Yeah, man, I'm curious to see what happens here. I mean, are we overloaded with factions in that company? I mean, before you answer, New Japan still has quite a few factions, and they're making it work fine. Like when people get upset, oh, it's got too many. Like, do you watch Japanese wrestling? Because that's what they do. I love factions, honestly. I love this way of storytelling. You know,
wearing a faction shirt right now.
Yeah.
VGS, based around by me, Violent Gentleman Society. Go check them out.
Nice.
Yeah, I love factions. I'm here for more factions. All the gang warfare we can get, please.
And Tim mentioned what he echoed your sentiments. Bullet Club Gold versus Bullet Club at Forbidden Door. But also that Wembley show, you know a little something about that joint, don't you? It's coming your way, Jay, and got to fill that sucker up. So if you're going to fill it up, Punk, both versions of Bullet Club, and listen, the day they announced it, I said, you need Okada. I'm sorry. And I know this, well, look, if they can't do it by themselves, shut up. I'm so tired of nonsense. Like, let's expect AEW to throw WWE out of business because that's what we think, because we're dumb. No. And critics of AEW, well, they can't. No one ever said they were going to. I never said they were. Jay never did. No one ever did. the people who said that are dumb as well. Okay. But the point here, Jay, is that they got a stadium to fill. You do both versions of Bullet Club, you do Punk, and you do Okada, for God's sake. Listen, that could become the biggest show that this company has ever done. You're going, aren't you?
I am going. Well, all of us are going from the podcast. Like, we're going to try and arrange some kind of like meet and greet with anyone who wants to join us. Even if it's just tailgating outside of Wembley with like a cooler of beers or something, we're going to try and do something cool. But yeah, it's so. Have you seen the? I think it was PW Insider put out before that there's 50,000 people signed up to the pre-sale already, and like I said to you when they announced that, I think they're gonna do it. I think they're gonna fill it because the UK wrestling's like fans are feral for AEW right now. Like not so much like the product, just to get them over here for a show, and then the fact that it's Wembley Stadium, the fact that like you can get cheap flights from all over Europe. You can get cheap flights from the States over to like the UK nowadays. Like they're trying the hardest to make it feel like a Mania size event, and it is. And add to that, a lot of UK companies have already said they've got shows around that. Progress have got one either the day of or the day after. Rev Pro have announced today they've got one the day before. Rev Pro, who do a lot of work with New Japan, just saying there's probably going to be some New Japan talent at All In as well, because there's going to be a New Japan-esque show the day before. Add to that, there's like talent who haven't been over here for easily before the pandemic. Some AEW guys haven't been over here full stop. Like, I honestly think a lot of people don't realize how big wrestling is here. And I think it's definitely gonna, if it doesn't sell, it'll come very close.
Do me a favor and explain to everybody here why AEW is so big over there, because you explained it to me and I had not realized what you told me. So explain to everybody here why that is the case, more so than the other company, actually.
So AEW is on ITV in the UK, which is on it's like a free TV channel basically. So it's extremely accessible. Impact's also on, I can't remember what channel it is now, but either way, it's also on free TV. Impact was always like super big over here because of that, because it was just accessible wrestling and people could see it. WWE has always been kind of on like a TV package, so you've got to pay for it. And then their new TV deal they signed about 3 or 4 years ago was on BT Sports, which is behind another package within a package, like Packageception. But it's essentially a lot harder to watch WWE. It's a lot more accessible for AEW and Impact than it is for WWE over here. So that's why like a lot more casual fans are gonna watch AEW than WWE over here, because it's just easier to.
There you go. Well, kids, that's going to do it for the main topics we have. I'm going to hit this button, and then Ray all day is going to throw his question up because he's already got it ready. The floor is wide open, baby. Wide open. Sandy, I applaud your loyalty. Say don't care about your All Elite or your New Japan. He'll give two craps about it. Saying. Happy weekend to you, Nancy. Ray, Shane beat you. Uh-oh. Sugar Shane says, Tom and James, if you could quantum leap into any wrestler any period of time, who would it be and what match would it be? That's maybe the best question I've ever had. Go, Jay.
That's a really tough one. I'm probably going to say Roosh, because he's my favorite wrestler at the moment. Because he just kicks people really, really hard, and he looks like he just he looks like he's waging like an internal war with himself about doing it all the time.
All the time, yeah.
And I just want to know what runs through his head more than anything.
So, Shane, you may be surprised about this because you know I'm old school Mid-Atlantic guy like you are. But the first thing that popped in my head was Bryan Danielson, the night that he turned on Bray Wyatt in the cage.
Yeah.
That remains one of the most hair-raising moments I've ever seen. And there's some of them. The night that Nikita joined Dusty and turned face. There's moments that to this day gets my blood pumping. Dude, when he tore off the coveralls and started doing yes in the corner, and oh, I got him now. Oh my God. And the crowd, it was so quiet. In between the yes, you could hear a pin drop. And I'm like, if this is not the greatest moment of his career, it's got to be close. That he had them in the palm of his hands with that. That I would like to have felt that moment. You know what I mean?
And they wonder why people like try to boycott it to get him in the main event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that was like the Rumble before that Mania, wasn't it?
Yep. I think so. Yeah. And they did everything in their power to. And I don't think it was even against him personally. I think they always liked him personally. I just think it was, pal, was telling everybody, nope, too little. And I'm like, you put the belt on Ray. What are we talking about?
I mean, he did the same with Eddie for how long?
Thank you.
You listen to Pritchard's podcast. He says how often he would pitch Eddie as like a world champion. And he'd always go, nice, too little. And then when he finally realized, oh, yeah, we've got a star on hands here. Like, we were deprived of so many years of Eddie as a main eventer.
It's true. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. All right, Ray. Nas or Busta Rhymes? I'll go Busta Rhymes. That's hard. Part 2, De La Soul or Digital Underground? I'll go Digital Underground this time. And if Adam Cole invited you and your family to a spring carnival with unlimited rides and coffee and said, you can bring a friend, can I join? Sure. Later took you all to the Rolex store to get free watches and said, you can get an extra for a friend, can I have?
Ray's been getting a hell of a lot more creative since last time I was on the show.
He's thinking this through, man. He's thinking this through.
I'd say Nas, De La Soul, and yeah, why not?
One of my favorites he hit me with was something about potato salad and a picnic. And then I forget what the other part was. I'm like, that was one of the, and I can't remember. I'm blanking on it. It was one of the best ones I've ever heard him do. Robbie hit me with, he always hits me with Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore, who couldn't get over as heel or a baby face, just couldn't get over, period.
Ooh, that's
Scott Putski. Scott Putski. Garrett Bischoff. I think. I don't recall him getting a pop ever. And these are just obscure references, right? That's tough. Wrestling's been around for a lot of years. Rob, you're going to start narrowing this down for me. Like of the 80s, of the 90s, of whatever. That'd be so much easier.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one already.
That'd be tough. And Robbie, let's be fair, brother. If there is such a guy, does he last that long?
See, there's two that I can think of, and it's mainly because they get like kind of the gimmick changed that often. Or like they get moved around that often, and that's Mustafa Ali and Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, through no fault of their own.
Yeah. Lance Storm's another one, like, because well, when he was in WWE, because when he's in WCW, he's like hated, but then WWE they did the whole Austin like saying he was bored, and it just kind of tanked that one.
Yeah. That's a hard one.
Who will be my fourth?
Because I don't know. I'm just thinking about, I'm taking it literally, like couldn't get over no matter what they did.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas I suppose I'm thinking about it more down to what they're being given.
You are. You're taking another direction, which honestly makes a lot of sense. I was just thinking literally couldn't, no matter what they did. God, that's
Dallas as well. He's really good, but
Dallas.
just I've literally Jeffrey Peter just said that as I said that.
Well done. Victor Vasquez, Double V says, why doesn't AW use Abaddon on Diamond and Rampage? Because she's horrifying. We don't want to look at her.
I love Abaddon.
I love her too, but oh my God, that
so good.
Dude, when I'm like, oh, like that makeup job is tremendous. Good on her.
Didn't even get like Abaddon at Halloween, did we?
I don't think it, or did we? Maybe if it seemed like she was.
They did the match. They did Abaddon and Britt the Halloween before because Britt was champion.
Oh
they didn't.
God, they
didn't bust out Abaddon this Halloween.
Nancy says, I hate it that Mickie James had to relinquish her belt. Who do you think will step up? Abaddon. I don't know.
Abaddon dressed as Mickie James.
Yes.
I'll put that back on Deonna Purrazzo. She's so good.
She's so good. She's great. Yeah.
I love Jordan Grace, but Deonna's like legit. Oh, Masha Slamovich.
Yeah.
Masha has been tearing it up recently.
True.
Anyone who has Fight Plus, go watch her match with Speedball Mike Bailey from GCW Worst Behavior, I think it was. Genuinely one of my favorite matches of the year. So good.
Sandy from Germany says, my dream tag team's James Lofton and Wolfgang from Gallus.
Don't know about that.
Sandy, you thought you had him, and he turned on you. We'll go back to Sandy because you crapped on his idea. Prediction for the draft.
I was just gonna say I'm more of a what's he called now? Rip Fowler, is it Zach Gibson?
Yeah.
More of a fan of his because he's from Liverpool.
There you go. See, there you
I'm
go.
from Liverpool.
There you go.
Prediction for the draft. I'd like it to actually like stick this time because they never do they?
No.
They give it 6 months and then, but then that's under Vince. Triple H might go like take it seriously and actually do it until the brand to brand invitational or whatever they call it.
Might as well just call it that. I have my pop culture references often get crossed. So we're talking about how long it would last. In my head, I went to SpongeBob when he took his clothes off to go live in nature. And Sandy says, I give it a week. And Swiver goes, I give it 10 minutes. Like, it's the best thing ever. Like, that's the draft. I give it a week. 2 weeks, 15 minutes. I don't know. Like, when it meant something, it meant everything, Jay. And it doesn't mean anything anymore. Not to me.
One thing I will say that I'd like to see them do with it is a couple of like NXT call-ups. Yeah, why not?
Bruno
guys who seem ready.
Yeah, dude, they've got people ready, and it's a matter of it's the same old story with that brand is that, do you want them on the main roster? Or are they going to be okay? Like, it varies, right? It varies from person to person. Welcome, Bruno Royce, to the show, kids. Bruno, you're so tremendously late. My God in heaven, Bruno. Jay, you should check out Bruno's work. He's a good hand. He works here in the I was going to say the Carolinas, and I hate that term. He's here in the United States.
Okay.
So, all right.
I'll see what I can find.
There you go. Good stuff.
Bruno, tag me in a link and I'll go check it out.
Yeah, Bruno's a good dude. Knows his stuff. Let's see. Got a few more here, kids, then we're going to call it a day. Wilf, we've been through this. I don't know how many times we got to go through this, dude. Wilf's a WWE fan. And it's okay. I'm not hating on you for being a WWE fan. But you brought this up to my attention before that your Raw ticket's cheap. I don't know what to tell you, dude. I don't set the prices. I'm not Ticketmaster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wish the Money in the Bank tickets were cheaper than AEW over here. Sadly, they're not. Otherwise, I would have gone.
Yeah. I think a lot of it depends on where you are and what's going on at the time and taxes and fees. And I don't know. I don't have any idea why. I don't know. Let's see. Tim's got a good one. I asked Majestic Marie this past Wednesday. I wanted to get y'all's opinion at Blood and Guts women's main event, homegrown. Jamie Hayter, Sheeta, Riho, and if DMD is not healthy by that time, put Chris versus Saraya, Tony Storm, Ruby Soho, Serena Deeb, and the RH Women's Champion Athena. Oh man, that's a lot of people.
That's Blood and Guts, don't it? 5v5.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
I'm good with that too. Why not? Sandy says, who should add? All right. They're going to let Christian come back. He's coming back. Meanwhile, there's a promo on Wednesday Night Dynamite where he's in the back with Luchasaurus.
Yeah.
Who should Edge's last match be with? Is he teasing that now? Who'd you say? I missed it.
I said Luchasaurus.
Oh. It's good.
He's sort of like alluded to the fact that because they're in Toronto, aren't they, later in the year? He's alluded to the fact that that's going to be his last match. I'm trying to think. See, again, I was kind of the camp that Edge shouldn't have beat Finn at Mania. I thought Finn kind of needed that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I feel like all the cool matches that I wanted Edge to have, he's already had. So his last match needs to be against someone who it's going to kind of elevate. And I don't know who's really in that position to be elevated right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a match off the top of my head that I'd like to see, but I don't think it'll be his retirement match, is Edge and Nakamura. And then they'd tear the house down. But
I mean, if you want to tie it back to his past, there's Matt and Jeff and Ray. Ray would be a good one.
Ray would be a good one.
Ray would make a lot of sense, actually. Screw it, Ray.
I could see him doing Dominic now you said that.
Oh. Hey, man, Dominic's doing his job, dude.
Dominic's awesome. I thought Dominic was really good at Mania.
Yeah, Brino. Freaking late, dude. Brino says, nobody shoot me, but I've never cared for Saraya her entire career. It especially annoyed me that she got more credit than AJ Lee for revolutionizing women's wrestling in WWE. She is okay. And this is from a worker. This is coming from a guy that's on the inside.
I'm with him.
Yeah.
She's fine. She's okay. She's never really been someone. And the thing with Saraya was she was doing something different at the time, whereas the industry's kind of grown past her, and now everyone's kind of working that style or a different style to it, but like a bit more sort of like Japanese style, like Jamie Hayter, for example. But yeah, she's fine.
She's fine.
I don't dislike her. I just like wrestlers better than her.
You know, there's moments of her through the years, and not even especially recently, but there have been moments when I get this weird feeling about her that I deserve this. I'm entitled. This should be mine. And it's not all the time, but like there have been moments like out of the ring where I'm like, wow, you really think you really? So like maybe that's just the way I take it and I take it wrong. Or maybe it's to Brino's point, she's not as good as maybe she thinks she is. Like, and keep in mind, she came up working for her dad where you are. And I'm sure by the age of 15 could work most guys under the table. But like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's a different, I don't know. I guess it all depends a lot on what your taste is too, right? I mean, can't discount what AJ Lee did. Let's be honest, for sure.
Oh, AJ Lee was awesome.
Let's see. A couple more here, kids. We're going to take it home. Ron says, can we do Edge and Bray? I don't know, Ron. Can we?
Well,
I don't know.
Again, that'd be a match I'd like to see.
Yeah, it's that company though, Jay. Can we?
As long as it's not like the Mountain Dew Bray versus Edge retirement match.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, it's Canadian. It'll be Molson, won't it?
Yeah.
Or Labatt's. But yeah, I'd like to see it. I think the promos would be phenomenal. Whether they do it justice, I don't know. I think on our podcast, I've been like the most vocal of how disappointed I am with Bray's return. Yeah. Because I was so excited for it. But yeah, given the perfect storm of events, yeah, they'd have an incredible feud.
And Ron, that wasn't directed at you. That's just to say how that company has done things since Bray got back, where you're like, yeah. Jeffrey says the problem with the women's revolution is that you're supposed to look at all the different women that was involved at that time instead of just, yeah, I get your point, because there have been women, but see, to be fair, Jeff, the women use that for their character. I mean, right? I mean, have you ever felt like Saraya was saying, I'm the reason? I don't know.
She has said it. She has said that.
See, I just want, is that how she feels, or is it character? I don't know.
I mean, when they did the women's revolution, it was all more about like Pat and Stephanie on the back anyway, wasn't it? Like, look how good we are. We're promoting women's wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? All the companies have been doing that for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
All in line.
Yeah. That's like saying, look, we got indoor plumbing now. Huh?
It's like when they announced the WWE UK tournament. All like the real standout guys on the UK indie scene at the time. I'm like, look, we've invented British wrestling. No, you haven't.
No. Yeah, been over here for 100 years. Brenda says maybe. Go ahead.
Granted, it's in a much, much better state than it's in now than it was prior to them signing up like all the guys from to NXT UK, because we had to make new stars in the UK, and some phenomenal wrestlers that I'm going to get you to do some watch-alongs with us of some British wrestling matches just to give you an idea. But that's another project I'll stick down.
There's the teams there, kids. Bruno says maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they went so far out of their way to give Saraya the credit when AJ was far better in ring and on the mic, and everything she was given, she made it work at the same time Saraya was working. Yeah.
I can see that.
Especially when the one promo where she directly challenged the Divas concept and roasted all the ones who couldn't work all at the same time. Yeah, and you know, when AJ cut that promo that night, I couldn't be happier, because I'm like, I've told this story 100 times, so I told it once, but during the Monday Night Wars, we and my guys, we were all usually hanging out on Mondays. We would flip the TV back and forth between Raw and Nitro, and every single time, it's a gravy match, it's a gravy boat match, it's a boat of gravy match, it's a mud match, it's a boat of mud match, it's a pool of mud, it's a brawn panty, brawn bikini, tear them off, let's have sex on live TV. We changed it every single time. And you know, not for nothing, but we were a bunch of straight dudes in the room, and none of us cared. It was always, I want to see the wrestling every week. It was the same story. So when they changed their tune, I couldn't be happier, man.
The best way to get women's wrestling over is let the women wrestle. That's it.
That's good. I like that. Well said.
I've said that one before.
That's good. That deserves a pound back. All right. We're going to do one more. And Jay, I'm going to let you pick it. This is going to be guest choice. Can you see all the comments?
I can.
You pick who you want or whatever you want. And there could be one that's popping up now. I don't know.
There's one that has popped up that I've just seen.
Okay.
And it's at the bottom. The Chad Shaver one.
Chad, too bad. Your guy's opinion, who finally takes out Walter. I'm not saying the other name. I'm going to go with Braun Breaker after his call up. What do you think?
I'm going to say unifies the belts with Roman. That's what I want to happen.
Ooh.
That's what I really want to happen. I think I think that'd be awesome. But other than that, I can see it being a multi-person Sheamus potentially, Pete Dunne, because I won't call him Butch, potentially, or I can see them doing like a multi-man match, like a ladder match or something. Then it's an easy way to get the belt off him without him having to actually take a loss.
And to be honest, nothing against you, Chad, but like, why do you need to take him down? Like, I wouldn't beat him. Like you just said earlier, Jay, about ruining momentum. I wouldn't beat him for a while. I just leave him alone.
What Progress did with him was pretty good, where they literally he was their Atlas champion, which was like the equivalent of the Intercontinental.
Yeah.
And they just had them unify with the World Championship.
There you
and
go.
Then do that, and then have them bring it back as like a tournament or something. Easiest way to do.
And one of the best build-ups to a match I have ever seen, video packages and everything. Their first match was maybe their second one was I want to get his name. Jordan Devlin and Walter.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
Dave.
For a company that is not, no disrespect, for a company not in the States that does this all the time, full time, all the time, that video package is one of the best things I've ever seen to this day. When Jordan's like, they interviewed him and he's like, you know, I couldn't do it. I forget how it was. He said it now, but it made such an impact when I'm like, man, that's really good.
Yeah. That's a really good match as well.
Oh, that crowd, that little building for OTT. Yeah. I mean, if you don't feel that match, you're not a fan. And I know it's all subjective. We all like what we like, but as a fan, if you don't feel that energy, they're crazy.
Yeah.
Such good stuff.
Definitely.
All right. One more for you, Jay. Sugar Shane says, there you go. Who is the most I can't answer this, but you can, I'm sure.
I think you'll probably agree with me, to be fair. William Regal.
Interesting. Do we feel that way today, you think?
No, I think now he kind of gets his flowers, but at the time, it like when I was a kid, I hated Regal, and then going back and watching him as an adult and seeing like some of the little intricacies he does, and just like little facial expressions he does, and even like the promo we cut where he was talking about like cutting a guy's chin so that mark stays with him forever and stuff like that. Like, the guy's just brilliant. So good.
That promo he cut, and it was all off the cuff. No one wrote it. When they were in the gym and he's looking at the camera and you can see Mox in the background and like blurred out. I'm like, dude, that's so good.
The one the promo he did before his last match, which was against Claudio, or Cesaro in NXT, where he's like, oh yeah, maybe this old villain's got one last fight in him, sort of thing. That's incredible. And the match itself's brilliant. Obviously he didn't know it was going to be his last match at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Regal's unreal. Just go watch some of the matches he had with Finlay in like, I want to say like 2006, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right. He's
just unreal.
He is. And when he was in that company, I said on the record all the time that someone say, who's the best wrestler in WWE? I'm like, William Regal, bar none. What? And I'm like, dude, he is the best wrestler in the company. He's the legitimate shooter. And you know, if you said to me, I want Brock Lesnar in the ring and I want him tied up where he can't get off the mat, I'd say William Regal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care how big Brock is. You know what I mean?
I will say as well, from seeing him wrestle in person last summer, his son Charlie Dempsey is probably going to surpass him.
Wow.
It is incredible. He had. I saw him wrestle 3 times in London last year, and wow, like he can go. I also found out that while he was based over here for NXT UK, he lived in my hometown. Nice. I only found that out after he moved to the States. I was like, oh, that's sad. I could have become friends, gone to Christmas dinner at Regal's.
There you go.
Got him sat with Regal's lizards and drank tea and watched Coronation Street or whatever he does.
William, can I pop over for, I don't know what he would pop over for.
I don't like tea, so I wouldn't be going for tea. But
there you go.
I'm with you there. Sandy Regal managing his son will be awesome when it happens. I'll tune into NXT when they start using that kid properly. Instead of whatever they were doing with him last I saw, where he was like just going out and like stretching people, and that was it. Like let him just book him like they did in NXT UK. He was unreal in NXT UK.
I saw Jordan's name again. I'm sorry. I can't play it here because they'll pull my video down because you can't do nothing fun. But in that promo, if you remember, I don't know the guy's name. He's talking to him backstage after his match with Walter, and he's got a handprint on his chest. And you see that Jordan takes just a beat and just like swallows when the camera's on him. And I'm like, Jordan, this is one of the smartest guys I've ever seen. Like, does he know the camera's on him? Because he's got that look like I may have bitten off more than I can chew. Like, I can't put that promo over enough. That whole package is so good. So, hate to keep going on and on about it, but I have to go watch it now because I haven't seen it in years.
Go watch the match as well. Just treat yourself.
God, I know, right?
That match is great, to be fair.
It is. It really is. And, you know, Devlin got himself in trouble. I don't know if he's still in trouble, but, you know, I don't know. But anyway, it's good stuff. Well, kids, that's going to do it for Jay and I. Jay, it's 10:28 where he is. Yes?
Yeah, 10:28. That's
go.
not too late.
It's not too late. What are you, old? Come on, man. You can do this.
I can do this.
You got this.
I've got this.
You got this.
I had a cup of coffee at 9 o'clock. I'm okay.
My cup's right here, and there you go. So that's all we got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get out of here, Jay, how about letting the good people out there know how they can find you and your show?
So I am part of the Untitled Wrestling Podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, and also on YouTube. We have a few exclusive series on there. On Twitter, Twitch, and Discord, we are Untitled Rest Pod. On Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, we are Untitled Wrestling Podcast. Discord server's great. You're part of it, Tom, aren't you? We just talk about all kinds of stupid stuff. I spend a lot of the time winding Troy up on there, who's one of our other guest hosts. It's very fun. Yeah, so that's all fun. Also, quick shout out to this shirt. It's for a really good cause, VGS Shop. It's only available till the 30th of April for Haemophilia Awareness Month. Do go check that out. They are an awesome team from the UK. And yeah, Untitled Wrestling Podcast. Tom's going to be on my All-In show soon. We'll do that.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. And we're going to do a 6M too, man, because there's a lot of stuff we haven't covered yet.
Well, we've got season 2 of Loki coming soon.
Oh, I know. So much stuff to talk about.
And Ahsoka. I am so excited for Ahsoka.
I am too. That thing's not till like the fall, right?
That's August.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And I think they announced August the other day.
Kevin Smith's got a great line. Whenever there's a big film coming up, he's like, man, I got another reason to stay alive a little bit longer. Like, I got to get there to see that, you know? So, all right, Jay, thank you again, my friend, for hanging out. I appreciate it, dude. Awesome. There you go, kids. Jay Luft to you. All right. Thanks again to Jay. Much love to the Untitled Wrestling Podcast, kids. That's going to do it for us here today on the show. We got to thank everybody out there for once again hanging out, for showing us some love. Thank you very much. Hope you guys have had a great week. Hope you have a great weekend. And we should be back next Friday. I don't foresee any issues, but as always, if anything does come up, I will let you guys know in very short order. Thanks again for everything. And you guys have the best weekend ever. We'll see you soon. That's it for us, kids. See you next time. Tom Clark's Main Event. Good night, Facebook.